to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Back for a Locked On Texas Tech special edition. Voices from the YouTube comments. It's your team every day, anywhere you get podcasts or on YouTube. And of course, it's your comments to wrap up the week as we dive into a couple of questions today. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off of your first purchase with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, always great to be back with you for some bonus time to wrap up the week and see what the folks are saying out across the great state of Texas, the United States, and the world. So we got a couple of questions we want to dive into here with you today. Let's get rolling with question number one. This from Ant Loaded in 712. Where's the 712? Is that an area code? I'm not sure where the 712 is. Shout out to the 712, who asks this question. After the South End Zone and football training facility is completed, is there a next biggest pressing need that's obvious? Should we consider the Jones finished for the foreseeable future? Obviously, you're getting close to South End Zone completion, at least as we head into the season. Maybe some work ongoing inside, I guess. And then the football training facility a little bit behind that, but to be completed very, very soon. And, yeah, Chris, I guess after you complete the South End Zone, I don't know if it's finished or not. I'll let you get into that. But you will have made your way around your entire stadium, at least over the last 20 years or so, 20-plus years, and added a heck of a lot. So what do you think about anything ever being finished in the arms race that is college athletics facilities, and maybe a pressing need that's obvious if there is one?
Yeah, I think when they finish, I mean, and I've been fortunate enough to see so many stadiums out there, and I often come away from various places going, I just don't know if the general Tech fan realizes how nice your stuff is compared to others. And I think even more so now. Now I think other folks have started to try to, add on and tweak and different things. I mean, that was one of my main takeaways from BYU when we went up there. The setting, unbelievable. Their stadium was like, whoa, this has got a long way to go. I've heard the same thing about UCF and all those things. So I just offer that up to say you will essentially have suites on all four sides of the stadium, both ends, both east and west. I just can't, they are doing everything from field to sound system to video board to visitors' locker rooms to, I mean, everything you could really imagine is being updated. It's just kind of being done in one fell swoop, which has taken a while, and we're almost to the finish line. But I just don't know what there would be left to do other than years from now. Okay, we need to come in and we need to update the video board again because technology has changed, or we need to tweak the ribbon boards or whatever it may be. I mean, you've had the LED lights have been added. I mean, it's just think of one aspect of that stadium that you would think of, okay, what else does it need other than increasing capacity? But I don't think there's a need for that now and all those things. Because I think you're slightly going to decrease capacity slightly when all is said and done here. And I don't even know if they know the exact number of everything whenever you finish things up. So I say that to offer up, I think it is, I hesitate to say complete because nothing ever is, right, as you just mentioned. But I just don't know if there's any sort of pressing need. I really don't. Your press box, which is where I spend a lot of time, is so much nicer than everybody else's, and that's something that not everybody sees. And there's a lot of sweet holders over there, but anyway, I just don't know if there's much of a need for any sort of addition or tweak for a long while, other than a technological one, which we talked about. As far as facilities, two-part answer here. One, I think that you'll see a lot of that nationwide really slow down because of the revenue share. I think that a lot of departments will say, we have so much money we're having to pay out. I don't know if we can tweak this or that, or, we're going to put a lot of stuff on the back burner. And
Mhm.
I would even tell you that had you not done what you did with the south end zone plan and just saying we're going, we're digging, we're going to do this now. I think if it was in this time frame, I don't think it would be done. I just don't. I think, or it would have been scaled way back. That's my personal opinion. I've had others that have echoed that as well. I just don't know if you're going to see, because you hear a lot of this facilities. You wish you had the Womble and what you're having now. Wombles, I should say. You wish you had these 10, 15 years ago, when I think it would have made more of an impact on a prospective student athlete. I think now it's great, but now it in some cases it's just how much money am I getting to go there? And it's not the bell and whistle of the facility that is making as much of an impact on a decision as it used to be. But there were people that donated a lot of this money that they were more interested in brick and mortar. There was some thought about, if there's a next split with the Power Four leagues and things like that, we want to make sure that our best foot is forward, and we want to make sure that we've really got everything buttoned up from a facility standpoint. And you have, there's no doubt. Not that that's the end all be all on you getting left behind or staying put or whatever it may be. If there is some sort of other, movement in the future that would create the NFL type model. As far as pressing needs around, if you were to get into something, I think most would agree. Yeah, there's some minor need for like an indoor tennis facility. You're one of the only Big 12 schools, at least used to be in the former Big 12. You're one of the only folks that doesn't have an indoor, its own indoor tennis facility. You're having to farm your matches out to various places in Lubbock. I think there was a donor in place. I think that is since not, there's not much traction there, at least last I heard. I think baseball would get the most conversation, though. Baseball is woefully behind as it relates to facilities, and heck, they just spent, I think it was somewhere between 12 to 15 million on a clubhouse and all those things, but it's your stadium. As nice as some may view it, it doesn't compare to what others have. It just doesn't. Now, I'm going off of the former Big 12. I don't pretend to know what Arizona's situation looks like, or Utah's, or we drove by UCF's when they were hosting a game, and some of the new schools. I'm just talking about who Tim Tadlock is recruiting against. He's recruiting against the SEC. He's recruiting against the Oklahoma States, the TCUs, places like that, the upper end of the Big 12. And your facility there is just woefully behind. It just is. I think from a capacity and a bells and whistles and just kind of just general look, it's nice for, and again, there may not be enough care out there to really do anything about it. It may just be like, hey, this is what we're going to have. We've invested in and put our monies into football, and that's where our donors, we're pointing them towards. And obviously, basketball seems to be in a good spot. But that would be my answer to those questions. Sorry for the long-winded 2, 3, 4-part answer there, but I just wanted to try to give a clear picture.
Well, I think you touched on the things that had to be mentioned. As it relates to the Jones, nothing is ever over. But you would like to think that it is more so on the technological front. Just as an example that we got going right now, whenever you got your big video board a few years back, you probably thought, well, this has got to be it. I mean, we got to be finished with that kind of thing for a long period of time. But here we are just a few years later as technology advances, and you're not totally revamping the structure, but you're getting updated technology, not only with that, but with ribbon boards and things like that could continue. I know there will be some desire in the future to possibly see further north end zone renovation as far as that building is concerned. I think they've done a great job of fitting it in and modernizing it in a way and making it a part of this kind of revamped Jones Stadium footprint. But I don't think clearly it compares to what you're going to have on the south end. So even if that does slow down, which I think you could definitely be right about things slowing down there, that's probably something that will remain on the list as far as maybe just a wish list that you're wanting to see some things improved there. And I think, the baseball one, uh, obviously from a basketball standpoint, I think your boxes are all checked at this point. You got one of the best arenas in the country, and you've got one of the best practice facilities in the country for both men's and women's basketball. The conversation surrounding baseball, I think accurately you point out as being the loudest and the one that will get the most traction, but it's a different conversation, Chris, when we get into non-revenue generating sports. And, women's basketball kind of gets to come along for the ride because men's basketball is traditionally a revenue generating sport. And so they're under that same kind of tent, but they're not in that category either. And baseball obviously is not in that category. So you've really got to have some extreme enthusiasm from donors and supporters because that whatever you put into it, you are not getting out of it. And I know it's not necessarily dollar for dollar from a football standpoint, like, hey, you put this into it, the very next year you're getting that out of it. That's not the case, but you are generating revenue with your football program. So you do feel like at some point in time, some of that stuff, I don't know if I want to say pays for itself, but either way, not to overcomplicate it, it's generating revenue. So I don't know if there's anything on the horizon from a baseball standpoint to really feel like, yeah, this is coming down the pipeline, but it's almost exclusively just generated an enthusiasm for the sport and for the program, right? It's obviously not a money-making venture, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But you're right about it lagging behind some of its peers. So, and maybe, I don't know, maybe somewhat of a good thing that you see some of the arms race slow down, though it probably is only in certain locales. The Aggies, the Longhorns, never going to stop building new stuff. I mean, you're going to have a new barber chair probably to put in, a waterfall or something like that in the locker room. I mean, some of those are probably going to be immune from it, but the arms race has been kind of hard to keep up with. So I don't know, maybe if it's all that bad, if you do see that slowed down, at least in general.
Yeah, and I think in the future, two things too here. One, I think that the folks that have when they decided to do the South End Zone, this is going to be, I mean, they went above and beyond here. This is going to be built to last. This renovation, they tried to get way out into the future with it. They've got, I don't want to say more space than they need, but they really tried to, studied, they tried to plan way ahead and anticipate as much as you can with things that change in the sport rapidly. But they really tried to build something and are building something that will last for a long time. And so that, to their credit, I think that's why the price tag is higher and all those things. And two, I go back to the way things will operate going forward, because I just think that more often now that you're going to put your available monies into people, and whether you want to define that as players or coaches or support staff, or that will be the difference maker, and that monies will need to go, or those monies will need to go into personnel and to just people in general, in my opinion, as opposed to brick and mortar now. Yeah. So but again, I go back to your stadium will have a, and I get the north end zone. There's if you were to look at something, you could kind of say, we really could do more with that and bowl it in, or kind of enclose, or do a few things to tweak it. But I just think you'll have a lot more complete field than a lot of folks.
Oh yeah. I don't think there is a sore thumb area anymore.
Oh no,
as
there's
it relates
just not.
to the Jones.
Yeah. And you go look at what Baylor built, which was brand new. Boy, they skimped. I mean, it looks good on TV. I don't think it will age well at all. I think that their new stadium was largely built for 60 to 80 million, somewhere in there, the whole thing. And
is that right?
Yeah, and you can see it up close. It is. It plays well on TV, but there's a lot of metal, a lot of, I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
TCU's and like Oklahoma State's are two of the most complete, really bell and whistle, brick and mortar, built to last stadiums that you'll ever see. And I think you'll be really close to that once yours is finished and put together. Kansas State's spent a ton of money on theirs, but it's not anywhere near what you will have as far as nicety. I think Iowa State has added a lot to theirs recently and tried to do some things with the end of theirs.
Yeah.
And, West Virginia's is older. So anyway, just kind of bouncing around a little bit. But yeah, you're going to be in a really good spot.
Shout out to the Bagnot on the Brazos. Great idea to build a stadium that looks like a toilet next to a brown river. That was really thinking ahead. All right, thanks for the question. You guys can chime in and let us know what your answer would be to that question there in the YouTube comments. Let's get on to question number 2.
First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Never sweat buying tickets to your favorite events again with Gametime. It's always a breeze using the Gametime app where you're going to find the best last-minute deals. And I love being able to scout out a view from any seat before pulling the trigger. And of course, it's always at the lowest price, guaranteed. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it begins, which means you can finish off that last beer at the tailgate at your own pace because Gametime is the place to find last-minute seats to any event. They give you the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets, but not just fast and easy, also secure and simple to use. So right now, download the Gametime app and create an account and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem our promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed.
This from our good buddy Johnny Two-Time, 1988, who says, regarding rooting for the Big 12, would it be a bad look for the conference if a new member came in and won the league in football and basketball year one? Already had that happen in basketball. Or does that show they were great additions and benefit the league? Obviously, a lot of talk about Utah from a football standpoint. We had a similar experience with Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars from a basketball standpoint. Chris, what do you think, man? Do you think it says that the league is not as competitive as maybe the league thinks it is? Or do you think that it really shows, hey, we're a stronger league? We made great additions.
Yeah, I mean, probably both. I think that the basketball example you just gave, it was probably stuck in the probably didn't sit well with a lot of folks, probably up in Lawrence or
Yeah.
or in a variety of places. And then Houston, as they should have, they stuck their chest out and like bragged about it. And we're like, hey man, we rolled in here day one. Everybody told us, oh man, the Big 12 is a different animal, and we won it hands down. I mean, it probably doesn't sit well with a lot of folks, but I'm Brett Yormark. I'm going, heck yeah, man. This is what we've been talking about, folks. There were really solid additions to be made. We made them, and you could theoretically, you could get the same thing happen in basketball again. I mean, Arizona is they are. I don't know if they're a true blue blood. Everybody's got a different definition of that, but boy, they are in that short conversation of teams that deserve to be talked about in that kind of status.
Yeah.
And they could theoretically come in and do some damage, and Tommy Lloyd and all those things with their head coach. But if Utah were to come in and win the football version, I won't be rooting for that per se. But what at the end of the day, does it benefit the league? Probably eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably depends on how you want to argue it. Again, and it probably doesn't sit well with the what does everybody call them? The hateful eight, or the some of the folks that have been around here. It's like, dang, why don't we invite these guys to the party? And we already know. Speaking of puffing their chest out, Utah will probably be unbearable to deal with in the social media space if that were to happen. But I do think in some ways it is a nice feather in the cap of the league. But I also can understand where somebody would want to take that feather away and go, guys, you're not all you're cracked up to be. You just let some newbie roll in here and run the thing. What are we doing here? Yeah. So I don't want to.
Eye the beholder. I think that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I don't want to sit on the fence and not have a take, but I think it whereas the fan may have a different take than Brett Yormark, the
Sure.
The media guy that writes about this full time may have a different take than one of the coaches in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of depends on what your perspective or what your view of things are. But somebody will win the league, and it may darn well be one of the new folks. Because, I mean, speaking of Arizona, I mean, the Arizona or Utah could theoretically come in and win the Big 12.
Yep.
I don't know if I see Colorado or Arizona State doing that, but I mean, there was maybe some that would argue that if things broke right, Colorado could jump in the mix there, but could easily happen.
As a fan, I certainly will not be rooting for any of the newcomers to win the league, but I'm not rooting for any of the old guys to win the league either, unless it's that double T, baby. That's all I got on my mind. So I don't know what that says about me, but I don't want Arizona or Houston to win the league in the basketball standpoint, even though Houston already did. But I don't want Kansas to win the league either. I don't want
no
Utah
doubt.
to win the league in football, but I don't want Texas Christian to either. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just right down the middle, I guess.
If Utah and TCU were to play in it, I'd probably be like, "Go Utes, man! I'll just deal with the social media." I know,
yeah,
and that doesn't make it just like I figured that if Utah were playing Texas Tech in there, I bet most fans wearing purple would probably be rooting for the Utes as well. That's just kind of how this stuff works, right? Yeah,
that's how it goes. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Another one that you can weigh in on there in the YouTube comments. Let us know what your answer is to Johnny Two Time from 1988's question. I love that name, and always love hearing from you guys out there. So keep them coming. Thanks for the questions and comments submitted. As always, that's the best way to help us grow the show is to comment anything below on YouTube. So go on and do that when you get a chance. Chris, appreciate some of your bonus time as well today, man. Enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. Enjoy it. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. We will talk to you very, very soon. And thanks for being a part of this one. Keep hope alive out there, everybody.
You got it. And get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks for being out there. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.